Yo, what's up guys, I'm back with another banger video. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a future house track like Brooks and Martin Garrix. Or you can say how to remake Quantum. First, more than 70% of my viewers are not subscribed. Bro, what's wrong with you? Click that button right now.
Nope.
Otherwise, all the labels will reject your songs.
So, keep that in your mind.
Jokes aside, let's dive into the project. So let's start with the intro. I added this plug from Nexus. I added some ambience from my free ambience sample pack. It's free, so if you know, you know. Link is in the description. So the intro sounds like this. And then I also added this guitar reverse one shot for the transition, and I'll show you how to create this. This from the guitar in the break and this reverse ambient loop. And then in the break, the original track has guitar chords, so I neither know how to play guitar nor have a good guitar plugin. So I use Flex Guitar and try my best to get as close as possible. I use Pigno's half gain 1 and chill guitar presets. They sound like this. Maybe the chord progression isn't as accurate as the original, but yeah, it sounds nice. To record this reverse guitar kind of thing, you just have to add a long reverb on the master, then record the note. Then just drag and drop, click on the reverse option. So that's how you can make some reverse shots. Then for the effects, I added EQ to shape the sound, then a multiband compression, then again an EQ to shape the sound, OTT for compression, then again EQ to cut the low end frequencies. But I automated this EQ like the mute and solo button, and then a fruity balance just to automate the volume and the build up. I added these serum plugs. If you listen to the original version closely, you can hear some plugs. So I tried to find something similar. Layers, and for the effects just EQ to cut the low end frequencies. Then I added some claps for the groove and a few more ambience loops. So all together it sounds like this. Portion before build up, everything is pretty much same, but I added some tambourine and top loops. I also added ambient chords. And also this distorted saw chord. Two saw waves and little bit of detune with 8 voices and one with 1 voice. For the effects we have some hyperdimension, distortion and EQ, and a bass to fill the low end. Then there's this beautiful arc, a simple saw wave arc with lot of reverb and delay. Then for the effects, OTT for compression, dimension expander, crystallizer, then gross beat, fruity reverb and delay. Then at last EQ to cut the low end frequency. So the arc without effect sounds like this. Very simple and basic. But if we enable the effects, then it sounds so magical. And then we have the main lead with the low pass filter. Sounds like this. For the build up, I added some snares, kick, drop claps, uplifters and downlifters. And this cool drum fill. I also added some vocal bed stuff like this. It doesn't sound too similar to the original, but I recorded myself, pitched it up and added some reverb to make it sound similar. Let me show you. It sounds like this. It's not exactly same, but yeah, it sounds like the original one, kinda like 69%. Let me show you how I recorded it. So this is the real recording without the effects, and the warning, there may be some chances of ear bleeding. So cringe. I shouldn't have shown you this. But this is the creative part. Let me show you. And then I increased the format with using Stretch Pro mode. So it sounds like this. After that, I added Manipulator with Dove Devina preset. And then I added EQ to cut the lower frequencies and to reduce the mid frequencies a little bit. Then I added Pitcher, which is a auto tune plugin without pitcher, with pitcher. And then I bounced out this loop, and then I added some extra effects like EQ, some OTT, reverb, EQ to reduce the resonance frequencies like this. Then at last EQ for some slight adjustment. And then I added this counter lead. For the effects, effector, then EQ for slight adjustments, then wave shaper, then again EQ to shape the sound. Without effect, it sounds like this. With effect, it sounds like this. Now, the most important part, the drop. Let's start with the drums. A punchy kick, some drum claps and rides. Then I also added claps and some percussions for the groove to give the bass a bit more attack. I'll show you in a second. Also some crashes. And the second part of the drop, I added hi-hats. Now, the bass. Not sponsored, but MHA sample packs and sound packs are pretty sick. For me, my personal opinion. Then the mid bass. Some of the presets are from my upcoming Serum sound bank, so stay tuned for that. So the layers. So the mid bass altogether sounds like this. For the effects, EQ to shape the sound, wave shaper for distortion, OTT for compression, some more distortion through decapitator, then again EQ to shape the sound, then a multi-band compressor, then again EQ to shape the sound, and to control the high-end frequencies, then a fruity filter and a kickstart. Mid bass without effect sounds like this. With effect, it sounds like this. Sub bass. For the effects, EQ to cut the high-end frequencies, OTT for compression, little bit of distortion through Camel Crusher, then again EQ to cut the high-end frequencies, little bit of distortion through Decapitator, then an ozone imager, and then a kickstart. And then I added pitch bends. The chords. These are some basic chords, sounds like this. Layers. Then for the effects, EQ to shape the sound, OTT for compression, Decapitator for more distortion, then sound goodizer, then again in EQ to shape the sound, then a clipper, and at last kickstart. So chords without effect sounds like this. With effect, it sounds like this. The leads. So layers. Don't forget to use portamento or slide notes. Without the slide notes, it sounds like this. But glide notes gives it more emotion. Enable the mono and legato option and then increase the portamento knob for the effects, EQ to cut the lower frequencies, then wave shaper for distortion, then OTT for compression, then again EQ to shape the sound, then decapitator for more distortion, then again EQ to shape the sound, then fresh air, then fruity multiband compressor, then again in EQ, then at last again in EQ to shape the sound, then reverb for automation stuff, flipper, then kickstart for sidechain. So leads without effect sounds like this. With effects, it sounds like this. Then I added reverb automation and pitch automation. And if you have seen Brooks' masterclass, he showed this trick to give your lead an extra attack. You should definitely check that out if you haven't. I forgot to mention it, but if you are making a future house track like Brooks, then you should definitely add some brass stabs like this. So with the bass, it sounds like this. So that's all for the drop, and yeah, this transition drop element, it sounds like this without any automations. So I added a pitch automation which makes it follow the same rhythm as the bass. And then I added some EQ automation to give it a movement, like growly movement, which sounds like this. So we have EQ to reduce high end frequencies, then a wave shaper for distortion, then we have this EQ for automation, and then OTT for compression. Then we have EQ to automate the low end frequency, then again EQ to control the high end frequencies, then a fruity balance to control the volume, then a kickstart for sidechain. So that's all for the drop. And then this transition LFO chord. So this is the chord, and I added serum effects to automate the volume level, enable the noise, and then enable the note latch option. Then use LFOs to control the volume of your sounds by assigning the LFO to the volume knob. And I also added the panning with this LFO, so it sounds like this. I automated the mix level and the rate, LFO rate. I also added ambience with the same volume automation effect. So altogether it sounds like this. In this part, we have a different chord progression. And this Reese bass. And everything is pretty much same. And the most awesome part is this. Let's start with the bass stab, which sounds like this. So the bass stab is from the vital, this one. I increased the release of this sound, recorded it and reversed it, so it sounds like this. Then I bounced out the bass stab, added an EQ for slight adjustment. So this is the chord. And then we have this bass, layers, chord layer, simple with a filter automation, and the lead. So it sounds like this. Layers. Then I rendered it out to add more effects and to save my CPU from blasting. I added effector, EQ, some distortion, then again in EQ to shape the sound. So it sounds like this. And I also added the ambience and chopped it to follow the same rhythm as the lead. And this ARP. I also added this ear candy stuff. And then the build up and the drop are the same, nothing extra. For the master, we have a fruity balance for build up, then D-glue, then PSP vintage warmer, then saturation, and then ozone EQ, match EQ, invisible limiter, then Pro L2. So without the master, it sounds like this. With all the effects, it sounds like this. So that's all for this track. If you want to get the exact project file I use in this tutorial, you can download it for just $7. You will get a banger future house track with all the samples and presets used in this track. You will get access to the full project file, and it supports me to keep making these videos. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. So let's check out the final result.